Hello! Today we're going to talk about the eyeball. So if you can imagine that you're looking at the eye sideways and then we've cut it in half, that's how I'm going to draw it so that we can see the structures. So I've already drawn the fibrous layer, or the outermost part of the eye. The part that I drew in orange is the cornea. That is the transparent part of our eye. So like when you look at someone and you're seeing like their iris and their pupil, you're actually looking straight through their cornea. And then the sclera is what we see as the whites of our eye, but notice that it does go all the way around the eyeball, so it helps hold everything in, and it's a place for muscles to be able to attach to. Next, we're going to add in the layers that are like the blood vessels. So immediately adjacent to the sclera is a layer called the choroid. I'm going to draw it in here as best as I can, touching. The choroid has the blood vessels, so this does the nutrient and gas exchange with most of the eye. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw in our lens, because I need to draw some other structures that attach to it. So the choroid expands out into a muscle that is called the ciliary body. So I'm just going to kind of draw this like coming out here. And actually I think I won't color it in so that way that you can like kind of see where it is. So that muscle right there is the ciliary body. It's continuous with the choroid, and it has ligaments that come off of it and attach to the lens. So the lens allows our eye to focus light, so the lens has to be able to change shape, and it's because of the ciliary body, the muscle and ligaments that pull on it, that allow it to be able to change shape. And then one more extension of the choroid is the iris. So coming out here in front of the eye, the iris is a muscular layer that expands like this, but I'm leaving a hole in the middle because that is our pupil. So that's the part that is going to basically dilate to be able to let light in. So iris. And then let's go green. This hole right there where light travels through is the pupil. So as a quick review, the fibrous layer consists of the cornea and the sclera. The vascular layer consists of the ciliary body, the iris, and the choroid. Alright, next let's add in our retina. So that is the really important part of our eye because it's the part that actually lets us see. And in anatomy, we normally always use yellow to be able to represent nerves. So I'm going to draw the retina in yellow. And then coming off of the retina, let's add in an optic nerve that would go to the brain, eventually taking stuff to the occipital lobe. So this is our optic nerve. And the yellow layer is the retina. The retina is important because it contains photoreceptor cells. Those are cells that have been specialized to be able to see light. specifically rods and cones. Rods function at night, so they let us see in the dark or when there's not very much light available, and cones give us our color vision. And it's worth mentioning that most of the cones are located in an area of the retina called the macula. So I'm going to kind of circle a section of the retina there, and that is the macula. And then let's get another color. The very inside of that, like a dot at the exact middle, that is called the fovea. The fovea consists of all cones. The macula consists of mainly cones. So anytime we need to see something really well, the cornea and the lens are going to work together to be able to focus the light directly onto the macula so that we can see. Where the optic nerve attaches to the retina, it forms an optic disc, also known as the blind spot. So the spot where the optic nerve attaches to the retina, there aren't any photoreceptors right there. So anytime light gets focused on that area, we literally can't see it. We don't notice it though, because our brain is very good at kind of filling in and making up what should be there for us. Let's add in our fluids. So in front of the lens, in the anterior part of the eye, is the aqueous humor. I'm going to kind of color that whole section right there. So the cornea is avascular, and the lens is also avascular. That means that neither one of them have blood vessels. I'm just going to put a little star there, like the avascular star, to remind us. If the cornea or the lens had blood vessels, then they would literally like get in the way of incoming light, and we wouldn't be able to see because they're standing there. So because the cornea and the lens are both avascular, that front part of the eye needs a different way to be able to do its nutrient exchange, and that's where the aqueous humor comes in. It's basically like water, but it carries in all of our nutrients and our oxygen, and it takes away the waste products and the gas, like the CO2. So the aqueous humor is continually made and drained. And I added in the vitreous humor. That's the fluid that fills up the posterior or the back section of the eye, and its function is to like literally hold the eyeball open. The choroid is providing the blood vessels, so it does the nutrient and the gas exchange for the posterior section of the eye. The vitreous humor is holding it open, and it's giving enough pressure so that the muscles can attach to it and be able to move and focus our eye. Oh, and one other thing that I want to add on in there is the margin of where the ciliary body meets the retina. So the ciliary body kind of extends out like this, and it has a serrated edge, like a scalloped edge, if you might know, like a knife that has an edge like that. And then the retina comes in here, and it forms an interface right there. That is called the ora serrata, after the serrated blade. So I added in a little bit more of the ora serrata there because there shouldn't actually be vitreous humor, and that's like an extension of the choroid. So our choroid is going around, it forms the ciliary body right here, and then it comes over here, and then that's where it meets the retina, and it has that scalloped edge. We'll be able to see that really well on the dissection. Now let's compare what we drew to some diagrams. I love this diagram. It's made out of candy. I did not make it. This is one that I found on social media, but I think that they just do a really good job. So if we look at our outermost layer of like the yellow candies right here, that's the sclera. And then this inner layer is the retina, so we can't really see the choroid, but it would be right there in between those two layers. All of this stuff inside of here is the vitreous humor. Here's that ora serrata, that scalloped edge that I was trying to describe on the other one. This is the lens. This is the iris. This hole right here is the pupil. That's where the light is able to get in. And this blue is supposed to represent the aqueous humor, which should also be right here, but they don't have it, the aqueous humor. So because the cornea and the lens are both avascular, we need that aqueous humor swimming around in there to be able to provide the nutrients. Oh, and I think I forgot to say this on the other side. Really special thing about vitreous humor is that it was formed when you were an embryo and it has never been drained or replaced since then. So we've literally had our vitreous humor our entire lifetime. And yeah, you can if you die and look at your vitreous humor, it'll give you an idea of what your biological mom was doing when she was pregnant with you. Here is a diagram from the textbook. So, nice view here of what I have a hard time drawing, like the cornea right here, we got that, and then the rest of this, like, do you see that margin right there? That's where the sclera starts, but all this stuff in here. So this is the ciliary body, and then those are the ligaments that attach to it, attached to the lens. That would be this whole structure right here. And then this is the iris, and that hole right here is the pupil where the light gets through. And then do we see our scalloped edges right in here? So that is where the choroid meets the retina. This red layer in here is the choroid. The yellow layer is the retina. Also nice to see over here is our optic disc, or our blind spot. This outer circula is the macula. The outer circle is the macula, and then the teeny tiny pit in the center is the fovea. So most of the cones in our eye, in our retina, are found in the macula, and then the fovea is entirely cones. And then all the rest of this is some cones, but mostly rods, which is a little bit crazy. And now let's compare this to a human eye. I really like the eye dissection because I think that this is like probably the one where our diagrams look the most like the eye itself.